Hello, everyone. Well, Tough Customer is on its way to production. I'll be telling you more about it soon, so visit the website frequently to get the latest news. I can tell you that it goes on sale August 10th. And since the protagonist was introduced in Smash Cut, if you haven't read that, you may want to pick up the paperback edition when it comes out July 20th. However, between now and then, there's another important publishing event taking place. Play Dead, a debut novel written by my son, Ryan Brown, will be published on May 4th. Recently, the two of us sat down with an interviewer to discuss what it's like to have not one, but two writers in the family. We used some of this recorded conversation in other venues, which you can see on this website as well as Ryan's. But I thought you might also like watching some of what didn't make the final cut. Enjoy. When I read the first draft, and he did offer to let me read the first draft and give him some notes if necessary. So I opened it up as a first reader would without really having that many preconceptions. He had told me a little bit about it, and it was so totally different from what I write that I thought this was going to be really interesting. And then I started reading it as a first reader and for my own opinion. And so really I was sort of glad that he didn't discuss a lot of it with me before I read it, because it just gave me a fresher perspective of it. I was greatly relieved that he had instinctual storytelling capabilities, that he was telling a story that had a very definite beginning, middle, and end, that he saw the plot through, that his characters were well defined, that his dialogue was great. But the main thing was, I was really happy to see that he had the imagination and the talent. Because that's something that nobody can teach you.
I think we both like to take characters and dig them in a very, very big hole, physically, and also with their morals, or to put them in a moral dilemma and find a way to dig them out of it. I think we both definitely do that.
And I think our humor is much the same.
Yeah.
I think that I know when I was reading Play Dead, and I would read a passage, and it was usually through dialogue that your humor comes out, and I could just hear these characters. I could just hear them saying these things, and I think it's because of where Ryan grew up, and we know kind of the same lay of the land, so to speak, and so we find the same things funny. So when I was reading it, I could just hear these characters, and I could just hear Ryan thinking that was funny.
Most of it ain't made up.
That's right. That's the scary part.
Which is the scary part.
I remember him and his sister Rachel saying at times, like, "Oh gosh, I would never be a writer because I don't want to be in a bad mood all the time." and I think that because they saw how hard it is. I mean, they really did. They had to live with it, and it was like 6:00 came around in the evening and dinner wasn't on the table. It was like, too bad, we're going to McDonald's again. I mean, because they saw that it takes long hours to do this. So I was really surprised when he said, I'm thinking about writing, because I was like, he had never expressed a desire, and in fact, just the opposite. But I was very happy. I would seriously doubt that.
I wouldn't think so.
I have never been prompted on any level to collaborate with anyone, truthfully. I don't even know how people do collaborate on books, and people do it very successfully. But I don't know how it's done. And I think the process for us is so different. I write differently than Ryan writes, and
I think the only thing that it may work sometime just for fun is a story where we switch up chapters and continue
just see
a
where
story
it
or something like
goes.
that. But
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
And we've talked about collaborating on maybe a script instead of a book, or an adaptation of one of our stories. That might work. But I think it would almost have to be something where it was already defined, and then we took it and worked on it. But I think from a creative standpoint, our thought processes are so different from one another. I'm not sure that would work. Oh, I'll be going in all the bookstores and moving it up to eye level. I'll wreak havoc on the people who distribute it, because I'll be his biggest fan. I'm going to be out there, selling it out of a box on the street corner. I'm going to be very, very proud, very excited, and very happy for him. I know I would be proud of him under any circumstances, no matter what he did. But I also am proud of the hard work that I know it requires to do this. And it's hours, weeks, days, years, and it represents a lot of diligence and discipline, and for that I'm very proud of it.
I'm already months into the second one, and you get to a point where you look forward to that part of it coming out. I already feel really steeped into the next one, but certainly, gosh, I mean, it's this being a first one, I can't imagine walking into a bookstore and seeing it for the first time, and I hope everybody in the room is rushing towards
flocking
it.
to it. Yeah,
it's fun. I mean, this is why you do it, and it is a hell of a long time in coming before you actually do see it on the shelf, and even that is sort of a quick reward, and it's like, oh well, there it is, that's great, and then you're moving on to the next thing. But,
it's a short-lived sense of exhilaration, and then it's like, oh gosh, I got to go home and work on the one I'm doing now. So.